dare I say, I thought I was toying with the idea of paying for some of my porn. Something I recommend everyone just do a little bit of. I remember a friend of mine in the industry years back during an interview, she said, if everyone who watched porn, which is basically everyone, contributed $100 a year, not $100 a month, not $100 at a time. If you put $100 a year into the adult entertainment industry, the girls might have craft services again.
Well, welcome back to Openly Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Spandiari, and I'm super stoked because today I have Billy Procida with me. He is the host of the Manwhore podcast. Yes, you heard that right, Manwhore podcast. When I first saw the title, I was like, I gotta find out who this guy is.
Really? Because some women see that title and they'd be like, ugh.
I love it. I love reclaim. You know what? Men should reclaim the word whore as women are reclaiming the word slut every day of the week. You be a proud man whore, Billy. I really
Not a title I gave myself, a title that was pushed onto me, but
wait by who?
makes well, so do you know why I started the podcast?
No, I know very little.
Sure.
We're all going to get to know you, me and my guests at the same time.
Well, I started the show back in 2014 talking to women I hooked up with about why we didn't work out. Because, like, I had this weird problem where women would sleep with me, but they wouldn't date me. And I wanted to find out why. Because, like, I wanted a relationship. I wanted love and cuddles and all that. But it was always the woman who told me she wanted to, like, keep it casual. And this happened over and over again in college and right after college. And I kept having these women. And then so some of them would point to my sexual history and, like, call me a man whore. Because I had, like, been to Craigslist-y stuff and I had slept with, like, a decent number of people at that point. And, or I guess, like, to them, because that number is always relative. Everyone's like, is your number high or low? It's like, it depends on what you think is high or low.
Right.
But
What's
over
your
and over
number?
again,
And I'll answer your question.
right. Or more like, what's your opinion on numbers? And if they say, like, I really don't care, then I'm actually fine to tell you.
Mhm.
So this would get pointed to. They kind of, I just felt like maybe I was too slutty to be loved, but some of them would call me a man whore jokingly. So when I was coming up with title ideas for the podcast, Man Whore Podcast seemed, one, stuck out on iTunes very nicely, but also it kind of had this, like, double meaning to it. It's like, I am a man whore, but it's not like I'm out here. It's not a braggadocious podcast. It's not me bragging about conquests. I mean, it is me having sincere conversations with these women I've been out with and, who I've been with in some capacity. But
Right.
now the podcast I have on all sorts of wonderful people talking about their sex and dating lives. You'll be on my show soon.
Yes. Which, your show, I guess, has changed a lot because I think found you, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, maybe at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a little, like, I went back maybe just like a year. I like to see, kind of a progression. And I knew you'd had a show for a long time, but I had no idea that that was the original premise, which makes sense though, because so funny, funny story. I read like your tagline on iTunes. And it's, I don't know what it is, but it's essentially like conversations with women that I've dated. And I'm like, that's interesting. So that leads people to believe that every woman that you have on the show, because you've never changed this tagline. I was like, this is really clever and kind of subliminal. Like, now here are all the women that you've dated. And it's like every guest that's ever been on your show.
Well, it's also like a nice way to, like, kind of prime people for the vibe, because otherwise you hear Man Whore Podcast and I think it can give, like, Joe Rogan-y vibes or, like, pickup artist vibes, and it's, like, really not my bag. That's not really kind of like the school of thought I come from.
Mhm.
Thought spelled THOT, of course. And so, I keep it in there to let people know kind of the origin, and
Yeah.
they'll figure it out.
I will say, having listened to just a couple episodes of your show, it's definitely not the vibe. I love your content, and that's why I want to share it. So with everybody listening, I mean, I can talk about my limited knowledge of who you are, but I'd rather you do it. I guess let people know. I mean, you're a comedian first.
Allegedly, yeah.
You host all kinds of cool shit. I saw that you have a naked comedy night, which I want to know what that is about for next time I'm in New York.
We did just do that. Yeah, Friday. It was great. Naked comedy show.
Okay, what is it? Are the comedians naked? Is the audience
Yeah,
naked?
the comedians are naked, the audience is not. On top of like monkeypox still lingering, there was also the as soon as you have the audience be naked, you now have to like do a whole nother primer of
Yeah,
like don't touch people conversation. I just feel like that would, you run that risk. So y'all keep your pants on, and the comedians were not wearing clothes. The guy who originated the idea, this guy Andy O'Feiss, he's a Boston comic. He's run the Naked Comedy Show for like almost 20 years, and he would sometimes say like halfway through the show, he would say to the audience, "Does anybody want to come on stage, take their clothes off, and tell a joke?" And he's like, "If you don't have a joke, I'll give you a joke. Like, do you want to experience quote unquote performing nude?" And sometimes people would take him up on it. It's very fun. So yeah, a friend of mine, Andrea Allen, another very funny comedian. She and I, we're trying to bring back the Naked Comedy Show, and it was great. Sold out, packed house, great crowd. Comics all did great.
amazing.
Hopefully, we'll be doing more of them.
I hope so for the next
Yeah.
time I'm on the East Coast. I'm actually coming home, I think, in probably, I don't know, November or the holidays,
Oh,
somewhere around that. I'm going to take the train up to New York for the Naked Comedy Show.
nice, nice.
Okay, so you said you went to NYU and you never left. So did you always know you wanted to be a comedian?
Definitely not like always. I mean, I did once I like got on stage and my
Oh,
first joke crushed, and I'm like, that feels awesome. Let's do more of that. Who
yeah,
needs to try heroin when I can get laughs from an audience? Like,
right.
let's do that instead. No, actually, my growing up, I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and then I saw Legally Blonde 2 in high school, and I was like, actually, maybe this isn't for me. Because that's the one when she has to write a brief for the Supreme Court. She had to write like 100 pages, and I thought you could just do research and then show up and argue. I didn't know there was like that much writing involved, so I was like, nah.
Yeah.
So then I thought like, well, it'd be dope to like own a comedy club in New York City. I figured like after I make my big nut doing something, I could open up a comedy club and like I can facilitate the laughter because I was like, I'm not funny, but I love comedy. I would tell people this when I got to NYU, and people would be like, "Oh, so you want to be a comedian?" I had to keep being like, "No, no." But a couple of people in my orbit kept saying like, "You should really try doing comedy. You should really
Mhm.
try it." So sophomore year, I did the talent show in my dorm. Had a lot of fun. Wrote 5 minutes of material. Did it in 3 minutes, and was really bad. But like, I got some laughs, and it was like really fun. So I just kept doing it. And I lived in New York, so just kept doing open mics and kept doing shows and again, like never really stopped until COVID.
Interesting. Did you go to NYU for like their fine arts program and as an actor originally or
Nope, I was never really a performer. I was King Theseus junior year of high school in A Midsummer Night's Dream. I had 3 scenes. I didn't need 3 scenes. I was like really never interested in performing until I did that talent show, and then I was like, this is dope, and I want more of it. No,
Interesting.
I went to NYU for like media and communications.
Got it. Okay. I'm so interested because my degree is in media and communications from
Oh
Temple
yeah,
University
yeah.
in Philly. I didn't get into NYU for acting, which is probably uh, very telling of the last 15 years of my life. Also,
Mm.
not very talented.
Nah, nah,
As you're
stop
saying.
it.
No, I'm joking. Well, you're saying it, so I
We
can
are
say it.
open late for a reason, lady. You have to
I
have some talent.
no,
Otherwise,
I'm
we would be open not that late. That would
not that
be
late.
the name of the show.
I'm making the same joke that you are about not being funny. Like I definitely love being in front of the camera and speaking and all of that. But it's so interesting. You're saying I shouldn't have had 3 scenes when you can clearly hold an audience. But we don't know this about
Well,
ourselves when we're
I mean, I'm
kids.
not an actor. I've never been, like I've never really done acting. The two acting I've done is I did that role. And then, like, I don't know, 4 years ago, a friend asked me to play a cat caller in a sketch she was doing. And that was really it. I'm not really much of an actor, but being myself, talking, writing something and performing it, writing just in general, that type of creativity was like always my bag. Acting always felt like something other people do.
Yeah. Okay. So you definitely had no idea that this is what you'd be doing
Oh,
until
everyone in high school was very surprised that, like, I became a comedian,
really?
and, like, a good one. Yeah.
Were you shy in high school?
Oh, yeah, I was bullied real fucking bad from, like, the age of 6 to 17,
Mm. Yeah.
like, pretty much nonstop, so I wasn't, like, super shy, like, low energy shy. I was, like, shy, but I also had all that ADHD, so I was, like, running like, I have energy, and I was on the sports like, I was good on sports, but, like, friends, I didn't really, like, have a lot of friends. I didn't really know how to talk to people. Girls, didn't know how to talk to girls. I knew how to write love poetry, but I did not know how to, like, get them to get a milkshake with me.
Yeah.
So I think people from high school probably surprised I'm a performer and I talk about sex for a living. Like both those things are a big shock to where I came from.
Far from the realm of, which is why you had to cut your teeth in your sexual experiences on like Craigslist.
Yeah, no, and also like being in New York City, like one, I was at NYU where we have I went from a boarding school where there was 3 guys to 1 girl to a school that was like 3 girls to 1 guy. There was a very queer friendly school, so you had a lot of men. I mean, the common joke was that being a straight guy, the world was your oyster. Then
Yeah.
I'm in New York City, so I'm going out to New York City bars. There's plenty of women in New York, so there's also
Mhm.
that element. And then we had Craigslist, and Craigslist was very active. There was like a lot of actual Craigslisty shit going on, as
Yeah.
opposed to if you were in Cleveland, there was like 3 posts a day, and in New York City there was posts all the time, and different types of posts and different types of people seeking different things. It wasn't just like sex workers and cam bots. It was like real people seeking real various sexual experiences.
Yeah.
So like I was like, I decided early on, like, okay, you know what? Like the way I'm gonna figure out what I like is I'm gonna try a lot of things. And
Mhm.
so I tried a lot of things.
Which is such a sex positive, I think, outlook on. Well, and I mean, I'm like going to backtrack on this thought because I spend a lot of time talking to women. I don't get a lot of men on the
Mm,
show, and it's something that I want to bring more of because I mean, it's so valuable, right? This I'm only getting this sort of half perspective. Um, I think that most women don't grow up with like such a sex positive nature, at least not the ones that I'm talking to a lot about sex.
mhm,
So to hear like, oh, well, I wanted to just try a lot to see what I liked, maybe whatever the motive is to get better at it, to see what my preferences are, whatever. Where did you, I guess, get that positivity from or that sort of confidence of like, oh, I'll just try it without sort of having any things that I would bring to the table, like fear, shame, anxiety.
mhm.
Um, I don't know. I'm guessing maybe it's because you're a man, but I'd love to hear from you.
I mean, being I think being a man definitely allowed me a little bit more instant comfort, and remove some of the safety fear
Mhm.
that would come with like maybe you prowling around Craigslist.
Yeah.
Um, the I didn't like I wasn't like given sex positivity. I just wasn't given shame.
Yeah.
The most I got that was when my dad caught me jerking off once, and his beef was this is in high school, and he's like, "You're supposed to get a girl to do that for you."
Oh my god.
Like
That's
he
actually
was
kind of shaming. Dude, no,
absolutely. My dad was like a big Lothario. I mean, my dad didn't know how to handle me in the
in a
first
different
place
way.
because like he was a Lothario, he was MVP of his sports teams, he had all these friends, and like I cry like he didn't know how to handle a son who cried,
Mm,
right? He didn't know what to do with me. His answer was like, "Well, just hit them." And I didn't want to hit anybody. I was like, I could, but I don't want to. Because if you hit somebody, you usually get hit back.
right.
And I didn't want to be hit.
Yeah. Are you half Irish, half Italian East Coast the way I am?
I'm like half Italian and then half a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
Irish is in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I just wasn't given the shame part, so I think that helped. If I had a fear, it was a fear of like knowing when to hit on a chick. Like
Mm,
I never believed anyone was flirting with me because I was just like I don't know. I just couldn't believe it. So it had to be like really overt for me to
yeah.
accept like this person's flirting with me. I'm allowed to flirt with them back because I
Mm,
think the shame I did have was what I would see in media, and what I would hear from chick friends. And most of my friends were women. In high school, the few people I was friendly with were girls. And in college, my crew was pretty much like all chicks and a gay guy, Vinny, right? Like that's who I rolled with.
Yeah.
So I would hear all these people complain about men. Sorry for the cough.
All good.
So what I got instilled in me kind of early on in my like in my in my like sexual life was men can be shitty and scary. And so I didn't want to be shitty and scary. I don't necessarily know all the ways and rules in which to avoid that, but that was like the intention kind of driving things. So it would make me not hit on someone who
Right.
maybe was flirting with me. It would make me not interrupt a chick's night at the bar just because I think she's hot. I'd have to like hear her say something, or I would have to see something that like I could sincerely speak to. Right.
Right.
Otherwise, this is just a hot person I want to see naked. And there's
Mm-hmm.
like nothing else yet. Right. And so when I was in college, I thought like, oh, I'm just gonna be interrupting this nice lady's night out with her friend. She doesn't want that. When like maybe that's exactly what she wants. But I was just too scared to approach anybody.
Yeah.
So very often like I need some kind of a signal to like flirt.
Yeah.
But
And it had to
but
be very obvious.
yeah, but Craigslist. Now, see, Craigslist was like a very obvious. It's very explicit. You're literally
Mhm.
saying, "This is what I'm looking for, and this is the type of people I'm looking for, and this is what I'm looking for." So to me, I was like, "Oh, cool!" Like I'm very much operating within the rules. I know the rules, and I can follow them. Maybe not all the time to the best degree. We live and we learn. Who knew dick pics you were supposed to ask first? They didn't teach us. They didn't. Also Craigslist is weird because sometimes you send a dick pic and you weren't supposed to, and sometimes you didn't send a dick pic and that you were totally supposed to.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Craigslist
You
felt
don't
like
get
a
the invite.
safe place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and also Craigslist was a place where you could be exposed to sexual scenarios that you're not necessarily going to come across at the bar. Like
Right.
you could trip and fall into a threesome at a bar, maybe, but you could also definitively apply for a threesome on Craigslist.
Exactly. And it's probably happening that night.
Yeah. So I definitely explored a lot that way. And so I didn't have a shame that prevented me from it, but I definitely benefited from looking like this, where, when I show up to some alleged gangbang in Chelsea, I don't think I'm gonna get murdered. But when the chick doesn't show up, I also felt safe leaving. That
Wow.
was a weird night. That was a weird night.
I want to do a whole episode on all of your Craigslist exploits, or maybe I'm sure you have them on your
Mhm.
pod, and I'll
Yeah,
just
yeah.
direct everybody there. But I would love so Craigslist is interesting because I feel like when I was in my early 20s, that's where people were maybe getting into like modeling and like webcamming. Is that how you ended up like now you're on OnlyFans, which I would just love. I don't even think I said this in your intro, but this is the first male sex worker that I know of that I have on this show. Have a lot of female friends that have OnlyFans or sex workers. Shout out to all my girls, but you're my first guy. I'm really excited.
Oh,
This is like popping
thank
my
you.
cherry. How did you transition, or was it just this gradual thing that you started doing because you were already, I don't know, making such an exciting part of your life out of these sexual exploits?
I only started my OnlyFans about 2 years ago. I launched in September 2020. So the OnlyFans specifically is newer, but like I've done like various types of sex work here and there, not like primarily. I don't like come out though. I don't go to parties and just introduce myself like, hi, I'm a sex worker. Like that's not my
Yeah.
primary identity. There are other people who live that on a far more daily basis than I have. But I did start webcamming my junior year of college, and I did that for a couple years. I remember I got some birthday money the summer before, and I thought like, oh, I've always seen these ads for the cam girls. Let's try spending money. Dare I say, I thought I was toying with the idea of paying for some of my porn. Something I recommend everyone just do a little bit of.
Yeah,
I
just a
remember,
simple.
yeah, I remember a friend of mine in the industry years back during an interview. She said, if everyone who watched porn, which is basically everyone, contributed $100 a year, not $100 a month, not $100 at a time. If you put $100 a year into the adult entertainment industry, the girls might have craft services again. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, like whether that's like tipping girls or buying clips or,
Mhm.
you know, buying merch of theirs. So, yeah, I was like, let's try spending that. And I 2 or 3 times you know, paid, tipped someone on a campsite. Did a one-on-one session and I thought like, this isn't really for me. Like, it's cute and all, but as a what was I 20 for a 20-year-old college student, it's a lot of money for not a lot of like stuff,
Yeah.
right? It's like going to a strip club. I was like, I mean, this is nice and all, but as
Yeah.
someone who doesn't make a salary, this is a lot of money to like barely touch you.
Mhm.
So maybe not for me.
Yeah.
But I could see how someone would enjoy it.
Anybody I don't know how anybody that's, like, younger than 27 or 28 can afford to go in a strip club, period. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what
I mean, my first
other than drug dealers or, like, professionals, what athletes.
Yeah,
Like,
like my first lap dance, like an older woman brought me to the strip club because she knew it was going to be my first time, and like she bought the lap dance. So I was like,
nice.
oh, cool, that was nice. But then she said, like, I remember we were in New Orleans. It was this like ratty ass strip club, and she buys me a lap dance, and the whole time I'm trying, because again, I am informed by being surrounded by women or
Mhm.
watching and listening to stand-up comedy, which like very often can be a little bit more liberal on things. So I was like getting that's like kind of the source of like my worldview on sex. So I have heard about gropey dudes at strip clubs. So when I am getting the lap dance, I don't want to be gropey dude at strip club. So I'm touching like her sides, like side of the legs, her
Yeah.
flank, the like outside of her
Her
shoulders.
lats.
Yeah, yeah, like everything on the side, all those like muscles that really hurt to try to reach at the gym, like that's where I'm touching. And then at the end, my friend Whitney, she says, "Wow, she must have really liked you because she let you touch a lot." And I thought, if that's a lot, this is not for me. Like that was a lot of money for
Yeah.
not a lot. So,
Yeah.
so the camming, I was like, you know what, this is not how I'm going to engage with porn. But I thought I I could do that. I could,
Mm.
I like to think I can put on a good stroke show.
Yeah.
So I made an account and I started jerking off for money on the internet. Like
My God,
I was
so
getting like
sick.
$3 a minute. I was making, I mean, look, maybe not a lot for like a normal adult, but I was making like $100 to $500 a week jerking off
It's a lot for a
intermittent.
college student.
Yeah, for like beer money, like
Yeah.
for beer and poker money, I was basically like I'd be writing a paper or playing video games, and then someone would ping into my room, and then I would like put the controller down, or I would like minimize my homework, and
Mhm.
then I would like, oh hey, what's going on too? Oh, your closet, but you don't want to tell your wife. Yeah, no, tell me more. Tell me more. Oh, you want me? And then do a show, collect my money, pick up my homework or the video game again until the next person came in.
And keep
And
going.
and what was really nice that a lot of dudes like they didn't always last until I came. So like in on one nut, I could get like maybe 3 customers before I actually came.
So economical.
Well, yeah, because like look, a lady's like rubbing one out, like keep going. Like me, it's if I come, I got to wait at least a little bit before I could
Yeah.
do another show with somebody. So I got to charge extra. But yeah, so I webcam for a couple years, very fun. I did I did 1 or 2 like in-person stroke shows. Like I would
Mhm.
like go on Craigslist and guys who want to jerk off together, I would always like hit them up. This is my early marketing days. I would like put a post up, but then I would also answer guys' ads and say, "Hey, I saw you were looking for this, and like I put on a great show. Do you want? This is what I would charge if you want to like pay me to come over."
Yeah.
So like that was kind of cool. Um, After college, I stopped webcamming a bit. I almost took on this great gig of like being a live-in houseboy for a couple, and I am an idiot still for not taking this gig. Oh my god. There was a Craigslist ad, as many of my stories start off. There's this ad. They wanted a live-in guy, um, to like live in the house and live in the apartment on the Upper East Side, keep things clean, take care of chores, fuck the incredibly hot wife whenever she demands it, but also maybe like every other morning, I would have to get up at 9 a.m. and give the guy a blowjob.
Wow.
And for that,
Couple
we've
really
got,
knows what they want.
huh?
I
Yeah,
think
yeah. No, he was very
yeah.
clear. He was like, it was cool because I was asking him follow-up questions like, do I have to be excited? He was like, "Nope, it's just
Doesn't
something that
matter.
has to happen. Just
Yeah.
9 a.m. I need to drain the snake and go to work." I'm
And
like,
what was the pay?
so we've gone free rent on the Upper East Side, free food and drink, basically. Also, value add, even though it's not monetary, but like the wife was super fucking hot, and I would have to fuck her.
Yeah.
Like whenever she demands, I'd be like, great. And I would have gone $5,000 a month cash.
Oh my god. What stopped you from taking this? Well, you're not you don't go both ways, right?
I mean, no, that wasn't the thing that stopped me. Like this was a good number. This was a
Yeah.
number
You're like,
that
this
I
is
was
the
like,
number.
this is a realistic number for me. Because look, any guy who says any guy who says like he wouldn't suck a dick for $1 million would do it for 20. You know,
Yeah.
like that's just
There's
be a
always a number.
there's
There's
always a
always
number.
a
And if you
number.
say there is no number, your number is very, very low and you don't want anyone to know about it. And
Mhm.
that's your business, boo boo. But like $5,000 a month
Yeah, that was
with
plenty.
all this other value add and like saving rent, I was like, you know what? Not bad. And this is the other thing. He was like, I don't gotta be excited about it.
Mhm.
It just has to happen. There's no like I don't have to fuck him. He
Yeah.
doesn't have to blow me. I just like every other morning a blowjob needs to happen and she's probably not gonna want to do it herself. So that would be my job. I'm like,
Man.
5 grand a month sounds great.
Yeah. This is why,
So
like, I mean, this is, polyamory at its finest. Or, well, not polyamory, this couple's open,
yeah,
whatever, who knows? This is what, 15 years ago.
yeah,
But this is just what I love about people who can be emotionally intelligent enough to just be open because, like, this is my need. Need the snake drained.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I just need this service, right? Which I also love when people, I say this a lot on my show, but I'm going to say it again when people are like, I'm going to hire a professional to meet my needs. For those of you who are listening, definitely consider doing that the way that we should pay for porn. Um, Rather than trying to find it out there in the world, like couples who are trying to find, like, that one girl, like the unicorn hunters. Like, it's just not. Just
yeah.
be realistic about what your needs are. Anyway, that's my
So
rant. But I just love this very conscious, open couple.
yeah, and so like I did the interview or the first interview where I basically had to like put on a bit of a show for him, and he asked me some questions. And then he was like, "No, we should move on. Let's go to round two. Where let's get drinks together. We're gonna test out the chemistry with her. We'll just see like how we vibe together. We'll
Mhm.
compensate you for the night. Don't worry." Um, but I thought I was in love. There was a woman who I was like, I don't know if she's gonna still because they were like, you could still date, you can still do other things. Just here are the expectations of you. I
Right.
wasn't gonna be like in a cage. But I was like, I don't know if she's gonna be down for that. So I was like, I gotta pass for this is because oh look again, I've always wanted to like be in love, have someone love me, be in a wonderful relationship. Like that's
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean that's why I started my show. That's what I want. So I passed up on that sick gig, and then things didn't work out, and I was emailing him back like, "Hey, are you still looking?" And the email address was no longer valid. Ugh. I've also been a sugar baby slash findom.
Mhm.
I did that. I got like I was getting like this one woman was paying me $500 a month to basically be an internet boyfriend. Like
Mhm.
just check in. How was your day? Tell me about how you hate your boss. Do a little sexting once a week.
Yeah.
I got to see Hamilton because of that. That was a good gig.
I saw it, I, like, literally saw a tweet with you crying.
Oh, that Hamilton.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what I
yeah.
look like every time I see Hamilton.
Yeah. First time I saw it was because my sugar mama got me one for my birthday. She's like, I can't afford two, so I hope you don't mind going alone. But I was like, yeah, that was cool.
Cute.
What else have I done? So other things here and there. Some dude came over and paid to like watch me and my girlfriend fuck, and so
Mhm.
like little things like that here and there. But the next like more consistent sex worky thing wasn't until the OnlyFans, yeah, and that was like a couple years ago, and that was just because like it kind of already fit with what the brand was. I'm talking about my sex life. I've
Mhm.
built up an audience, and here's something that people forget with OnlyFans: you have to have the audience to
Yeah.
bring to OnlyFans. You can't start an OnlyFans, then people will just find it, right?
Yeah.
So I had an audience of people who like have already repeatedly expressed interest in my sex life. I
Mhm.
have been asked for my nudes from men and women over the years. Like there was already like I'd already seen that there was interest. So I was like, we could give this a shot. Cause like, look, you do not want to start putting your nudes on the internet and find out no one wants them. That sucks.
Mhm.
That's real embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
You
just
already
like,
have the fan base.
when
You're
you're
like,
just
"I'm
like,
not gonna
hi,
have to deal with
cock.
rejection."
You're like, hi, here's cock, and like no one wants it. Oh shit! Now your cock's just out there with one like, and it's from your very supportive aunt. Like that's not good.
Not a good look at all.
Not a good look at all. But it's been going well, and I've had fun, and it's basically all the any thirstiness I would get on like in my Instagram DMs. I now had a place I could more appropriately funnel it to. I'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, you want to do that? You know what? I like to flirt on my OnlyFans at onlyfans.com/call me Billy. Hello.
Mhm.
And there it's like you can compensate me for my time and attention. You can buy my nudes, you can order custom videos, but like that just became a more appropriate place for it, as opposed to kind of like slapdashing stuff together. Like some dude be like, "Can I give you $50 for this?" And I'd be like, "Okay, I guess." Like, now it's just a little bit more formal.
Right. You have a great
Yeah,
platform for it. You love
yeah,
OnlyFans. Well, I don't love the OnlyFans can do better, but like I love it for um everyone who's on there. I actually
yeah.
it's funny that you brought up findoming because I mean my podcast is new. It's well, we'll be one in 2 weeks actually.
Woo!
So it's not new anymore.
Congrats.
But thank you. It's starting to be that like I've certainly had people ask me for nudes long before I had a
Uh,
podcast. Um, long before it was public. People are just like, "You're a hot yoga teacher," like, and I see pictures of your feet. Um,
you're a chicken exists. Can I have your nudes?
exactly. But I like it's a bit more specific now that I have the podcast, and I don't know if I sound like I want to boss people around or
No,
what on the show, but I've been asked a couple times now for fin doming, and I'm like,
it's
all
easy.
right, yeah, I think.
Just all you have to do is accept the money and not put up with their bullshit. I don't mean not put up with the bullshit, like talk shit to them if they give you shit. I mean, like, all you have to do is accept the money and then ignore them, and you're good because the entire thing is just taking the money. You
That's
don't
like,
have to talk to them at all.
yeah, that's what they
You
want.
can just block. So,
Yeah.
like, do it.
Do it. Yeah. I mean, and this was really cute. It's probably listening, but this one guy was like, I did ask you about this and you said like maybe, and then I never heard back from you. And that was like 3 months ago. And I like went to go respond and he goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was only a month ago." And I went, "Yeah. And I've been off the grid for 21 days. You should know that." And I was like, "Don't speak to me for another week and I'll consider it."
Wow, nice work.
And he was like, that just sent, I forget what he said, like shivers down my spine. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I could maybe be good at this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm entertaining the thought, but it's not something I have a lot of time for. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll see. But we're getting sidetracked. I'm curious about well, because I'm not a subscriber yet, but do you mix your comedy and your sex work? Do you
Uh,
find that there's a beautiful intersection point of the two?
you know what? That would have been way more purposeful and like artistic, and I did not do that at all. I real unfortunately sincere about my selling of nudes. Like, no, I'm just like I just have the audacity to think that I'm really hot on the internet. So
No,
here you
I mean,
go.
I mean in ways of like if you are gonna like do lives or like put on a show for somebody, are you also do you bring that like funny personality to it as well? Or is
Oh
it
yeah,
more
like
like I'm being sexy right now. I'm being sexy
uh,
Billy.
I think it depends on the vibe of the the follower that I'm chatting with. But yeah, like I'm a decent date, I am told. Like I'll try to make you laugh, get to know you. Again, some of these people just want to like talk. I have one person I've been talking to for almost the entire 2 years, and she's just like, she's a wife in the Midwest who wants that little excitement on the side, and
Mhm.
I give her that.
Yeah. Cool. I
Yeah.
just thought of it because I'm not that funny. I'm like kind of funny, I guess. But and I'm in an open relationship. Like people who listen to the show, they know, like, I go to play parties, like no
Nice.
stranger to group sex. I have a hard time not like deviating from the act of being like, involved in the sex that's happening and
Right.
commenting on things. Like I have a squirrel brain. So with my partner, Lauren, like if we're in bed together, it could be like a couple hours and it's like maybe sex happens for like 45 minutes and then maybe like joke telling happens and like some slapstick
Yeah.
and like we get really sidetracked. So my initial
Sex
thought
is
was
fun.
like,
It should be.
sex should be really fun. And
Yeah.
that's like the area that I live in. So I'm wondering if you have like, clients who will seek you out because they're like, oh, he's going to make me laugh in bed. And then it's just like this whole thing where it's like, are we having sex or are we writing a musical right now? Because that's actually how sex is with me sometimes. So I like to find partners who are on that same vein. And I'm like, is it
Slutty
just the way
Sondheim.
the way my slutty Sondheim. Oh my God, I hope my friend Gabe is listening to this because that would make him really happy if he heard slutty Sondheim. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if anyone seeks me out for that reason. I haven't had anyone say, "Hey, can you do a custom where you jerk off while doing material?" But like, I would do that if somebody asked. I'm just when I'm flirting with people in my DMs on OnlyFans, like I'm being part sincerely myself, or most of the time, like being like a sincere, but like fictionally flexible version of myself.
yeah.
Right. And yeah, I'm just trying to have a good time. Sometimes I crack jokes when I should crack jokes. I call you a filthy little slut when I'm supposed to do that. It's
Mhm.
whatever's
Yeah.
right. But I'm not doing like, hey, I'm a naked comedy guy. If anything, on stage, I am a slutty comedy guy, not on OnlyFans where I am a naked funny person.
That's okay. That's where more of the
Yeah.
little meld happens. That makes sense.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I have like fans of the podcast who definitely follow me on OnlyFans, because again, it's like, okay, you hear about all this sex and you hear about my dick, and now if you want, you can see my dick, or you can see me do partnered content with like people you've heard about. Like
Yeah.
I did an episode with somebody, and then a couple months later we did some content shoots together. And
Mhm.
so there are a couple videos you can pay to see of me with Jamie after you heard me on a podcast for an hour with Jamie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yay. Everyone go pay for that right now. Okay, I do want to talk about, so I recently saw that you wrote a blog article about how selling your nudes actually helped with like body image,
Yeah,
which I
for
think is,
Mashable.
yeah, which I think is really cool. And can I read the first paragraph of it?
Sure. While you read that, I am gonna stand up just to get this glass of water, okay?
Go ahead.
Cool.
Okay. I mean, maybe you should read it since you wrote it, but go grab your glass of water. I'm like, no, I want to read your content. I'm actually going to read it. I am not what you think of when you think OnlyFans model. My body is thick with large thighs, strong arms, and a doughy midsection. My hair is far from full, and much of my wardrobe is old navy chic. I have a dick, and it's not huge. No one sees me on the street and fantasizes about me when they get home. Or so I thought. I just like, I love that. So
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm definitely going to link this article in the show notes. I read it and I just thought it was really cool. And also just from a man's perspective, but I imagine that so many women, and not only do I imagine, but like I have a lot of friends who have OnlyFans who also have talked about this. Um, and so, yeah, if you want to like comment on it.
Yeah, I mean, like as I mentioned earlier, like I have a vast bullying history, or bullied history, and the body calling me fat was like the one of the main things. You look at pictures of me, you'd be like, that's not a fat kid. Not that's bad to be a fat kid, but that's not a fat kid. And he fucked with my brain so much. It's if you call me that every day for many years, eventually I'll be like, they all seem very convinced. I guess they're right. I was on like the watch list at the nurse's office my sophomore year, because I was skipping a lot of meals and starving myself like several days at a time.
Mm.
Which, and then I would tell people, it was crazy because like I would call them fast, like I'm doing a 3-day liquid only fast, and I would tell people as like a cry for help, like please someone acknowledge that this is not okay.
Yeah.
But because I was a boy and I was heavier, everyone was like, "Oh, good for you." It's like
Yeah.
manorexia is just like normal anorexia, except no one takes you seriously,
Right.
you
Like
know?
no 14-year-old period should be doing any kind of fasting or dieting really.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I didn't wanna do wrestling. You had to do a sport every season at my boarding school, and I never wanted to wrestle because I was like, then I'm literally gonna have to be obsessed about my weight, like, for 3 months or 4 months or whatever, and, like, that sounds
Mhm.
horrible. So, yeah, so I have a lot of body image issues, and, doing OnlyFans, like, really helped with that because all of a sudden there's, like, now a monetary value to my body. So the deal I made with myself was like, I can hate my body if I want to, but I have to respect it. Like, I can't call myself not hot. If I don't like my body, that's cool, but I'm not hot because this amount of money was spent to see this body.
Yeah.
So I again, it kind of in the reverse where it's like, if enough money is spent, well, they seem really convinced I must be hot. All right.
Yeah. You're like, "Am I gonna listen to these people with money or these fucking 14-year-old assholes?"
If enough people who have no motivation to lie to me say I have a pretty penis, then maybe I have a pretty penis. They're the ones saying it, not me.
Mhm.
You know. But yeah, but like you said that not usual to hear a man talk about those types of things, and I kind of going back to the origin of the show. I've kind of always been this like contradiction of terms. When I say I wanted a relationship and every time I was sleeping with people and wanted more, the woman was telling me to keep it casual. I mean, that's a typical gender role reversal. We normally hear that story from women who are like, I want a boyfriend and these guys just want to fuck me. And that's what I
Mhm.
was experiencing. I think that's why a lot of women were clicking with the podcast in the like those early days when I was 24, 25 years old. They were clicking with that because they were like, I can relate to that. Me
Yeah.
too. Just it doesn't look the way it normally looks.
Mhm.
You were hearing things come out of my mouth that you're not used to hearing someone who looked and sounded like me say.
Right.
Like is even when you get to the OnlyFans, you're like, we don't hear a lot of dudes with that. I was like, yeah, you don't, but like that's kind of what I am. I kind of tend to operate in this space of I guess I'm a guy, but I'm not typically what a guy is, except on Sunday when the Jets are playing. Then I'm very much what you think a man is. But outside
Yeah.
of those 4 hours,
A man that's mostly delusional about his team ever really doing anything, unfortunately. The Jets, man. Oh,
yo,
I'm
yesterday was amazing though.
Did you guys win?
Yo, we won. We were down 13 points in the last minute and like 50 seconds, and we fucking came back and won.
Whoa, you won so hard.
We won really hard. It was great.
I used to be a huge, like, just sports fan in general.
Uh
Well,
huh.
I'm from South Philly, so obviously, like, it's all we
Sure.
have, you know? Um, and, like, Catholic school. But when I moved to the West Coast, it just dwindled. Like, I lived in Vegas for 6 years, and then I've lived in LA for, like, 8 or 9, and so I just feel like especially when I got to LA, it's like, "Oh, there's a lot to do here." Like, I don't have to sit inside on Sunday. It's not
Yeah.
cold, I'm not, like, trying to stay out of the elements. And I just gradually stopped caring, and now I can't even tell you, like, who's the starting lineup for the Eagles, which is, like, sacrilegious in my household. Like,
Yeah.
they don't even like, my dad still will talk to me about football, and, I mean, it's, like, kind of our thing. Like, we had like season tickets to like every sports team event thing like in Philly my whole life. And now I'm
Mm.
just like, mm-hmm. Like couldn't tell you who the quarterback is. It's
Yeah.
so
And
sad.
And in LA, like the Lakers are more of like a fashion accessory than a lifestyle.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually it's so interesting you say lifestyle. Sports are a lifestyle on the
Oh
East
yeah.
Coast. And then on the West Coast, they're like non-existent.
Yeah, y'all are
Um,
way too fucking chill about it. You're
yeah,
like, "Hey, win or lose, let's love each other, everybody."
exactly.
Or win or lose, I got an audition. Fuck off.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I want to ask you, I have one more question.
Mhm. Then I have one
And
more
then
answer.
yeah, and then feel free to share anything you want, but have you been able to find the love that you're looking for? You've brought it up a couple of times, and it's been a while since you were in college.
Mhm.
Have you had loving, cuddly, reciprocal relationships?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, over the course of the last 8 years, I've had some relationships, some of them better than others. I most recently had one that I was like, this is that thing. I thought I knew what love is, and I'm like, I think I know what love is. I believe I was in love in those relationships, but this was like an apex. This was like a secret boss level type of a thing. It's just like I remember on the first date, and like I asked to kiss her, and I kissed her, and then I walked away, and I was like, I'm in trouble, because like I met this woman a week after she left her husband, who she'd been with for 12 years.
Mm,
And I walked away being like, this she's in a complicated situation, but like this is, it's that undeniable chemical thing. And yeah, so there's been a little on again, off again. I, the back door seems to still be open, so I'm having faith.
yeah.
Fingers crossed. I would really love for that to work out. But to
Mm,
answer your question, like, yeah, I have found love. I think right now I have found like the person I want to die next to in 30 years. But we'll see.
that's
She
beautiful.
Thanks. She's
Oh, thank
pretty
you for
she's
sharing.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
Oh, well, I really hope it works out. I know I can't imagine, like, in that situation, somebody who is in a long term, probably committed, and just assuming, I maybe shouldn't assume, but relationship for 12 years is maybe not wanting to jump right back into one. But
Yeah, and then like I'm non-monogamous, so that was definitely like new for that was also why I knew it was going to be trouble. I was like, there's her context, there's the I'm non-monogamous. She's curious about non-monogamy, but she hasn't done it before, and I've never been with someone since I started dating non-monogamously, which was really like the first girlfriend I had after college. I was 24, or no, I was 25. Basically, all my girlfriends in adulthood had experience with non-monogamy,
mhm,
right? Most of them were all identified as polyamorous. So
yeah,
this was the first time I was like, oh, I'm the experienced one, and this person's not at all.
right.
But again, yeah, I we'll see what happens. I got my fingers crossed. Uh
Look
yeah,
at that
yeah, dude.
smile.
She makes me feel all the things.
You're for those of you who are not watching this on YouTube, he's smiling from ear to ear, blushing like a little schoolboy.
She does do that to me. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really amazing. Well, love is beautiful.
That it is.
No matter how quick or how long it lasts, honestly, it's all incredible.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, I hope that it does last in your case and that things
Thank you.
develop and she turns into the one that you get to die next to, rooting for the
Yeah.
Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very toxically romantic. Like, yeah, no, I think I met the woman who I want to bury me. That's She's the
Yeah.
one who I trust to spread my ashes.
Or eat them.
Oh, oh, what is
I
that like
know.
a hip new age West Coast thing y'all are
Dude,
doing?
exactly. I heard it for the
Wait,
first
really?
time. I heard this for the first time yesterday. I was at
Okay.
a party in Topanga, and
Of
Topanga
course.
Topanga Canyon's like, for those of you who don't know, it's like the very like hippy dippy little hilly kind of mountainy part of LA north of Santa Monica. Anyway,
Hmm.
I was at a party. I don't mean to make fun of it. I knew just a
No,
few
no,
people,
make fun of it. It's
but
worth making fun
I'm
of.
gonna make fun of. And so we were talking about psychedelics like ad nauseum because that's all anybody wants to talk about. And I'm like, most people who listen know, like, I'm no stranger to plant medicine. I've worked with it for a long time in the capacity of, helping guide people in those spaces. So it's not something I want to talk about when I'm not working. And then I have this podcast, just very different things.
Mm,
Um, but this person wanted to talk all about it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then they wanted to talk all about Burning Man, which I'm a little burnt from, honestly. And I'm
sure.
like, okay, great. And then they asked me if I knew who Timothy Leary was. And I said, yeah, I do. Like, I, I don't live under a rock. But I was being nice. They're at my friend's house and, whatever. And this is actually a very nice person. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm with you. But then they told me that they ate his ashes at Burning Man.
They
That
eat Timothy Leary's ashes. I don't think they ate Timothy Leary's ashes. I think they ate something else and someone packaged it as Timothy
yeah.
Leary's ashes.
Well, yeah,
I think they got took is what they described.
exactly. I mean, listening to the story of this person anyway, it's like, following the breadcrumbs to this place. Like, but they think they did. So good for them. But it was the first time that I've ever heard of someone ingesting someone's ashes. And I'm like, this is what the spiritual community is up to now. Cool. I'm glad I don't super identify. Anyway, I just feel a little gross in my stomach now. Say
We can just
something.
sit with that for a moment. I'm so sorry for your stomach.
I'm
So that's
drinking,
not
drinking tea
ash
to try to
infused
make
tea,
it.
right?
No, this is not. This is
Okay.
not. There's no. I hope there's
Who's
no
in there?
one
George
in here.
Carlin? Like you don't got anyone cool? No. Man, what if
No.
we sold ashes like that? That's an industry that for some reason still has not taken off. You would
Yeah.
have thought somebody would have monetized like when I'm gone, I want my estate to sell my ashes and like make sure my kid goes to college.
Yeah. Or like, oh my
Like
god.
at the rate Nick Cannon is going, he's gonna have to like have that as a backup, like selling his ashes as an herbal supplement. He's
Right.
got
For
like I
all
don't know how many kids. That's a lot of college.
He does have a lot of kids. But I saw a recent interview. I don't know his like this is terrible. I don't know her name, but the woman that's not Mariah Carey, who he has two children with now.
I mean, he has a
Um,
lot of kids with a lot of people.
yeah. But his most recent baby mama was on Sham Booty's podcast, who I love.
Oh, I had
And
Shan on my show years back.
did you? She's so cool. I love
Very
her.
cool.
Yeah, I listen to it all the time. And this interview was so interesting because it's like this woman was like, but we all know about each other.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it looks weird to all of you, but like this is how we do love and family. And I was like,
Yeah.
I so appreciate there's not many like very famous people who are talking about non-monogamy and like trying to normalize it. So I did appreciate that. But yeah, Nick Cannon does have a fucking lot of kids.
I mean, yeah, my issue with Nick is not like all the wise and I don't think it's weird that they all know each other.
Right.
I'm saying the fiscal decision to have that many children is specifically what I like to tease about. But otherwise,
Right.
I hope they all enjoy themselves.
Yeah. Um, I was just gonna. Oh, this is like it's maybe too late for this joke, but um, like, have you ever heard of hape or done hape? It's like the fine ground tobacco snuff that's blown into the nasal cavities. It's something that people do. It's
Wait,
like
do
its
you
own.
snort it or does somebody else blow it into your nasal cavity?
So someone else blows it, or you actually blow it. There's like an applicator that you put in your mouth and then in a nostril, and you blow it, and
There are just so many more simpler ways to get fucked up, I feel like.
but it's not like a psychedelic thing at all. It's actually kind of
Okay.
just nicotine, and it sounds very extreme, whatever, but it's something that I do actually a couple times a week. And it's just like this
Okay.
very grounding thing. But I was laughing, thinking to myself, that's another way that we could actually like create avenues to sell our ashes is to
Mm.
sell them as hape as well.
Oh,
So it's
and
a very
then
simple
it's the
way.
movie How High.
Yeah, because it's like, immediate right into the nasal cavity, into the bloodstream. Whereas if you eat it, it takes a what your body has to metabolize it. So if
Someone's
they
going to sell their ashes for this purpose, and then there's going to be a very famous legal battle with the FDA. Just you watch and wait.
yeah, Open Late Podcast does not openly support this. Okay, I feel like that's a great place to end. Um, Billy, it's been really fun to have you on the show. Where can people find you? Where are these special links if they want to see dick pics?
Sure, sure. Thanks for having me on. First and foremost, check out my show, the Manwhore Podcast. Your wonderful host here is going to be on shortly at some point. And I've got I've got like almost 500 episodes going on over there. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Just search Billy Procida. I pop right up, Procida. And if you want to check out my OnlyFans, it's free to follow. And just, throw some tips down if you wanna flirt in the DMs. And you can check that out at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. Actually, I also want to. I'll plug one other thing. If you're looking for like sex positive space, sex positive community, I have a very active Discord server. It's called the Champagne Room.
Yeah.
We've got channels about like sex toy recommendations and kink and sharing sex stories. We also got channels just talking about like cannabis and wellness and food and movies. I mean, it's a really fun server. We've got like hundreds of sex positive, like minded individuals in there. And if you want to check that out, you can just go to manwhorepod.com/discord.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And all of those links will be in our show notes for our people who need
Great.
to see it, not hear it. Thanks again. This has been another amazing episode of Open Late. I'm so stoked that I can check my little cherry box of having my my first male OnlyFans model on the show. I hope to have more. It's always good to get this other perspective. Real quick, my loves, do not hesitate to rate and review the podcast. As always, we have our WhatsApp chat, Open Talks. If you want to be in our chat community where we talk about all things non monogamy and you can meet other non monogamous folks. Last but not least, we have our quiz. So, the What's Your Relationship Style quiz was created exactly for people like you who are listening, who are like, I want to try an open relationship, but I have no idea which one is right for me. This quiz will point you in the direction of whether you should actually start calling yourself polyamorous or if you're more the monogamish type. And yeah, take the quiz. Let me know your results. Shoot me a DM. Happy to talk about it with you. And I love you all. See you next week.